Here's the hot dog and condiments we're going to be making. There is a loaded hot dog with ketchup, mustard, cheese, sauerkraut, and jalapenos on it. The first little cup is onions. The second one is jalapenos. It has a hole through there. It's hard to see though. There's sauerkraut, there's shredded cheese, and relish. And we'll start with the onions. You start with translucent clay. Here's some.
Please have two more. Please, I don't
There you go. You have translucent clay, and you roll it out on the pasta machine pretty thin, probably a number 4. I think I have it on. You cut off little strips. You're gonna bake these, and then when they cut, you're gonna bake these for your onions. Then you're gonna use some white clay. That's not necessarily translucent for the. Hold on, Catherine. For the sauerkraut, and you're going to make these a little bit bigger, but don't make them as big as French fries. You don't want to overkill. Here, and then when you cut, you're going to cut kind of at a slant, and you're going to make them all different lengths. And you can bake these first too before you cut them up. With the you'll do the same with the cheese and with the relish. You'll just make a whole bunch of strips of teeny tiny little things, and then you'll bake it. And this one is baked, this one's relish, and you'll do the same thing with each one except for the jalapeno, which I'll show you in a minute. Well, actually I'll show you now because you'll need to bake it too. You take your little piece of green clay, and you use a straight pin or any kind of metal wire or anything like that, and you can stick it through there or wrap it around however you can. And you just wrap it all around that piece of metal, and then you bake this. When you're finished baking it, then you can just twist it a little bit to break the seal on it, and then you pull it out gently, and you will have a hole all the way through it. So then once it's hard, I mean you've already baked it so it's hard, then when you slice it, you'll have teeny tiny little jalapenos with holes in it. Let's see if you can see that little jalapeno. It does have a hole in it. Just take your onions once it's baked. You have your onions, and you just slice them up really tiny. Then once you have your stack of either onions or cheese, whatever it is, sauerkraut, you take some tin foil, and I make a little bowl out of it, and then I use one of these stick things. My brain's not working. You use one of these little things here, and you use some Krylon triple thick glaze, and you just dip this in your triple thick, and you drip it on top, and then you take your little pieces of relish or whatever it is, and you mix it on your tin foil, and then you scoop it right into the bead. The bead can have an open hole. You can dry it on top of another piece of tin foil if you want. Sorry about the phone. It's my sister's birthday. I had to answer it. It was her. So here's your little cup or your little bowl. Like I said, it will have a hole in the bottom. Don't worry about it. When you put the triple thick in there with the stuff, it won't leak out very much. If you know where you're going to put it, like I have my little wooden tray here. I just put them on top of there, and then they dry and they stick on there. It's perfect. So don't worry too much about the hole. Let's see. And the cheese, you just use orange and like off-white. And for the hot dog, you use a piece of brown. And what I do is take my little piece of brown clay, and I roll it into a hot dog. And when you roll it, you start out as a circle, and then you roll it, and then the edges will be nice and rounded, but you still want that little puckered part on there. So I use a any kind of texture really, but I'm using a peppercorn from real peppercorn. I like to use it for texture, and I just stab it right there on the end. I'm going to use some ecru clay for the bun. So I rolled it into a little ball. I'm going to make it long for my hot dog. That's too big. So I'm going to cut off a piece, roll it into another little ball again. There's I'm making it almost look like a hoagie bun. Looks like a Subway sandwich. Then I flatten it just a little bit with my fingers. Make sure you have those rounded edges because, you know, hot dogs are rounded. Then you use your razor blade to slice it carefully. And then you have, ooh, come back here. And then you have your little hot dog bun. And the part that you push on the ground, you're going to be able to tell easily which is the top and the bottom. Because the bottom will be flat and the top will be rounded. So open it up, and you're going to want to give your inside of your hot dog some more texture too. Am I squishing something? Oh, shoot. I squished my hot dog. Okay. So you take that peppercorn that you had earlier, and you roll it on the inside. And you'll want to take your time and not massacre your bread like I'm doing. Do not texture the outside. This should still be attached, but I was trying to hurry so I don't bore you. Anyway, so there you have your hot dog bun. Be a good boy. And you put your hot dog in. And remember, your hot dog can go over a little bit. That's more realistic if it goes kind of out one side. And you're going to use your colored chalks and a paintbrush. And with my breads, you start with the dark yellow. And you do not do the inside, only do the outside. Well, the yellow wouldn't matter so much, but next you're going to use brown. And you remember, there's no texture, not really, on the bread. And I have a tiny piece of green. Please ignore that. Here we go. Just stay. I'm going to use some brown. And the person who requested this wanted a loaded hot dog, so that's why this one is completely loaded. This one's just plain. But you'd still want probably ketchup and mustard. So for my ketchup and mustard, what I've done is I've gotten, and then you'd bake your hot dog, and all your stuff should already be hardened and baked at this point. Because you baked all the condiments beforehand, then you sliced them up, then you put them with the triple thick, and then you put them into air dry into their little cups. Now the hot dog is wet at this point, or it's, you know, still clay moist. Now you'd bake the hot dog, and then once you pull the hot dog out, the very last thing you would do is, or I guess at this point, if you wanted a loaded hot dog, you'd start loading up stuff on top of it. If you don't want it loaded, you just want the mustard and ketchup. Take a fabric paint, the kind of 3D that stands up, and it's, what do they call this? Dimensional paint. And I just take a dab of ketchup. Remember, this is on baked clay, because you don't want to bake your paint. There's my ketchup. I just got ketchup all over me. One moment. And I'm going really slow because I don't want to make a big mess like that. Bummer. Put too much mustard on. And I don't even eat mustard. Anyway, so there's your ketchup and mustard, and you can throw onions or whatever on top of that if you feel the need, however you like to do it. That's all there is to a little hot dog. One more up close view, and bye-bye.
I didn't make the hot dog. I put hot dog.